Part 23. The Lucky Bag is Reborn with Space. Author, Floating World. Chapter 221. Chapter 221, Remarkable Curative Effect. Mr. Wang quickly looked down at his knees. Himself was stunned. You must know that his knee has long been deformed due to rheumatic joint pain, and the deformation is very severe. After I got rheumatism in the past few days, not only did the deformed areas hurt, but the deformed areas also became swollen. His knees were so swollen that he couldn't walk much. I didn't notice that the pants he was wearing were 2 sizes too big. The waist is fat, but the trouser legs are tight because the knees are swollen and the trouser legs are stretched up. But it's good now. Look at the swelling in my knees, and all the swelling has subsided. He couldn't help but look at his wife in surprise. Is it possible that this peach wine is really an ancestral secret recipe? The two of them thought of something at the same time, mainly because the person who had been tossing his legs had been doing so much recently. The two of them took medicine, did physical therapy, applied hot compresses, and everything else, but the leg never got better. The pain was still so severe this morning. The Queen Mother had seen it herself. In the morning, her knees were so swollen that she could hardly put her pants on. But this time, the swelling on the knee has completely subsided. Both of them had the same idea in mind. I'm afraid this wine is really a secret recipe passed down from their ancestors. You know, the only thing that went out of style today was drinking half a caddy of peach wine. The Queen Mother's face lit up. Oh my, the child's father really didn't expect that this wine might actually be a family secret recipe. Let's do this. Anyway, the alcohol content is not high, and I have tried it, so it won't be harmful to your body. What an impact. Lately you drink every day, but don't drink so much. Drink 2 glasses at a time. Let's drink it over the years and see. You can tell immediately whether this bottle of wine has any effect after drinking it. Their husband has been suffering from rheumatoid arthritis for many years, and relieving the pain is the only thought in their minds. Now that there is a possibility of it taking effect, both of them are very excited. But the two of them were not careless. Maybe it was a coincidence. Otherwise, if you let me drink another 2 tails during dinner, I will drink 2 tails every time anyway. The alcohol content of this wine is low, just treat it as juice. Mr. Wang feels that his legs are healed. He will have no problem drinking that bottle of wine. He will definitely not get drunk. With his amount of wine, he can drink 2 pounds of white wine safely. The Queen Mother couldn't resist him, so she poured him 2 tails of peach wine during dinner. Mr. Wang slept comfortably that night. In the past, he had been suffering from rheumatoid arthritis pain, and the pain kept him awake night after night. Sometimes the pain is so bad that I can't sleep and I just run around in circles. I can't help it. Who's to blame for the pain? But tonight, it really felt like he had the most comfortable sleep in his life. My whole body feels warm, especially the pain in my knees that has long since disappeared. I can only feel a stream of heat flowing inside. The couple got up early the next morning, and the Queen Mother immediately asked Mr. Wang. She was also worried about her husband's old problem. How are you, Lao Wang? Do you feel better? Mr. Wang nodded. Do you feel better? It feels so good. I think my legs can really get better. If you don't believe me, roll up these pants. I think this night may really be effective. And this peach wine is really good. At least I had a good sleep last night and didn't feel any pain at all. The Queen Mother rolled up her trouser legs a little excitedly, and was shocked when she saw the knees. The deformed and twisted knee used to be scary to look at, but now, this knee seems to have become much better. The twisted shape is much more pleasing to the eye, not to mention that the swelling on it is completely gone. It looks no different from a normal leg. Oh my God, Lao Wang, It seems that your knees are deformed a lot. I didn't expect this wine to be so effective. No wonder it's called a secret recipe passed down from generation to generation. If this continues, you will have to continue drinking it. 2 taels won't do, you'd better drink a little more, maybe just half a kilo from now on. I don't think the alcohol content of this wine is high. The Queen Mother always feels that the more the better. Mr. Wang grinned and secretly enjoyed himself. How could he be treated like this? The daughter-in-law cried and shouted for herself to drink more. I have never experienced this kind of divine treatment. When did the couple quarrel because of drinking? He raised his face arrogantly and shook his head. How can you drink so much? After all, wine is not good for your health. From now on, it's better to have 2 taels with a meal. Let's keep the water flowing. The Queen Mother was anxious. Old Wang, don't make trouble for me here. You have to drink even if you don't want to drink. This is all for your legs. It's better to drink more and heal your legs earlier. It's better than anything else. But Officer Wang called back. What's the matter, parents? Please call me in a hurry. I'm busy here. Mom and Dad know you are busy, but there is something wrong. That peach wine your dad drank yesterday, Zhang Xiaoxiao, was really helpful, but I think that bottle of wine only weighs 2 kilograms at most. It is not enough for 2 meals at all. Otherwise, you can talk to them again and ask for 2 more bottles to see if that works. There's no need for her to deliver it. Why don't I go and pick it up in person? The Queen Mother felt that this wine was useful for her men, but she was afraid that she would run out of it. Officer Wang was startled. Does it really work? Mom, I'm going to the county for a meeting soon. I can only give you Zhang Xiaoxiao's address, or you can go there. He really couldn't get away. If he could get away, it would be more sincere to go to Zhang Xiaoxiao himself. However, he believes that Zhang Xiaoxiao will be willing to help him. After all, we can be regarded as friends now. Zhang Xiaoxiao told him about his relationship with the Fang family yesterday on the road, and then Officer Wang found out about it. Yehua is actually Fang Piashong's biological mother. Who doesn't know about the incident that Fang Piashong made at the farm? Director Wang has long heard it from others. Fang Piashong, a grown man, actually bullied a girl. It turns out that Zhang Xiaoxiao has a biological brother and Zhang Xiaoxiao has such a life experience, but he didn't expect that Yehua is Zhang Xiaoxiao's biological mother. It was unlucky to meet such a biological mother, Zhang Xiaoxiao. Coupled with what they heard yesterday, he immediately understood that this Yehua was probably here for his own son. She wanted to transfer her son to a factory in the county town. Manager Wang is on Zhang Xiaoxiao's side from the bottom of his heart. After all, he has no feelings for Fang Piashong and Yehua. He had never met the so-called Mr. Fang. A few times. To put it bluntly, Zhang Xiaoxiao was the one on his side. Mom, let me tell you something. Yehua came to Dad yesterday and wanted to transfer her son to work in the power plant in the county. You can't do this. You don't know. There is really something about Zhang Xiaoxiao in it, and that Yehua is actually Zhang Xiaoxiao's biological mother. Shipment manager Wang, like the nagging woman, told his own mother the cause and effect of the incident. When the Queen Mother heard this, she felt sorry for Zhang Xiaoxiao. This child is unlucky to have met such a biological mother. This child can actually grow up so well. It seems that her adoptive parents have indeed raised her well. They turned around and told Mr. Wang that he must not do such a thing. Their family had received favor from others and the child could heal the old man's leg. If they broke the child's heart again, it would be fine. Besides, the grandson of the Fang family really needs to be renovated, so as to save himself from being too arrogant and short-sighted. Mr. Wang also nodded after hearing this. End of this chapter. The lucky bag is reborn with space. Author, Floating World. Chapter 222. Chapter 222 Going Away. Mr. Wang is not an ordinary person. This matter also concerns his old superior. How could he not say hello? Immediately made a call to Mr. Fang. When Mr. Fang heard about the cause and effect, he was so angry with his daughter-in-law that he had never asked for help in his life, and in the end he was being violated by his daughter-in-law. Also put his old face on it. The main thing is that it would be fine if the grandson really was wronged, but what kind of person Fang Piashong is, how could the old man not know? There was a big fuss about the wrong child some time ago. It's not like he didn't know that the originally good granddaughter came back and looked like a really good child. Who knew what the couple was thinking and finally kicked the child out? Home door. Although the couple swore that they were not the ones who drove the child away, it was the child who insisted on living with his adoptive father and mother. But how could the old man be fooled by these words and ask the boss to inquire? Only then did I know what kind of plan my son and daughter-in-law had made. It was a really good plan. No wonder the little girl doesn't want to come back. Even if she leaves him alone, he doesn't want to come back either. Finding the biological parents is no different than not finding them. Originally, the old man wanted to come to see his granddaughter and his adoptive father and mother. No matter what, you have to repay the kindness that the adoptive father and mother have shown to your granddaughter. This is human nature. From these things, the old man and the old lady could tell. This adoptive father and adoptive mother are good people. But who knew that the old man later developed high blood pressure and fell ill all of a sudden? By the time he wanted to go again, the boss had already told him that his granddaughters had gone to the countryside. In addition, it is inconvenient for them to come to the home of their adoptive father and mother when their daughter comes back to give birth to a baby for confinement. As things dragged on, who knew that my daughter-in-law would make such a mess again? He even went to find his old comrades in his own name. What is this for? This is going against heaven. The old man was furious and immediately told him that he didn't need to worry about this matter. If his wife dares to come to the door and make trouble, tell him directly that this wife is the one who told her, and she is absolutely not allowed to open the back door. At this moment, Mr. Wang and the Queen Mother were relieved. It seemed that the old man had no idea about Yehua coming to their house. The Queen Mother was worried that the party would be gone, so she was anxious and asked the driver to drive her to Zhang Yu's house. Arrived at this address, Zhang Xiaoxiao was about to go out. Zhang Xiaoxiao plans to return to the farm this afternoon. She didn't receive anyone from Jiashu, and she didn't know if it was late or something else. Have no chance to see anyone. Jiashu's train only runs every 3 days, so there's no use here. At this time, she packed a lot of gifts and prepared to go to Mr. Song's house to deliver the things to him. If Song Moding brings back the things his grandparents brought him, his mission will be completed. If I remember correctly, the policy regarding the college entrance examination will be announced in the next 2 days. They should prepare for the exam in a month or 2 at most. Zhang Xiaoxiao. As soon as the Queen Mother saw the person, she hurriedly shouted to stop. Her heart was beating wildly when she saw people getting excited. Zhang Xiaoxiao turned around and realized that it was Director Wang's mother. Are you here to block yourself this early in the morning? Aunt Wang, what are you doing? It's a little early. Where are you going? Otherwise, I'll give you a ride. The Queen Mother also knew that she was too impatient. She came to block people's houses this early in the morning, and she was too embarrassed to open her mouth just to ask for something. It's all my son, and I clearly asked him to do something. It just so happened that he had something to do today, otherwise why would he have to let go of his old face? Zhang Xiaoxiao shook his head. Auntie, you really don't need it? I'm sending something to Mr. Song, and I'm going to help Mr. Song take something back to Song Moding. I'll go back to the forest farm today. Is there anything wrong with you? Son. If you have anything to do, just tell me that I can help you, and I'll do it for you right away, or I'll go back in the afternoon. I have already found out the address of Song's hometown. It only takes 10 minutes to walk there. Everyone lives in the military compound, which is not that far away to be honest. Besides, the things she carried were not heavy at all. The Queen Mother hesitated. It was not appropriate for her to ask for things from others, but for her own man, she could not lose face. That's right, the medicinal wine you brought to your Uncle Wang yesterday was the peach wine. I didn't expect that it would actually work after drinking it. I thought there wasn't much left, otherwise if you have some here, bring it to me. Get 2 bottles. Your Uncle Wang has those legs. I do it every winter and it hurts like hell. No medicine in the hospital worked. We tried every method, but we didn't expect that your ancestral secret recipe would actually work. So you see. Or we can buy it. This is totally ridiculous. But he was also afraid that Zhang Xiaoxiao would think they were taking advantage. The Queen Mother is even more worried that the girl will say that she has no wine on hand. This is the biggest trouble. Who would carry so much wine when they go out? Zhang Xiaoxiao smiled and said, Auntie, you are here for this wine. Then wait a moment. Don't tell me, I just have a few bottles on hand here. This is my sister and brother-in-law's house, so the wine is kept here. If you don't have enough after drinking it, send someone to my sister, and I'll ask her to get it for you directly. I'll go in and get you 2 bottles first. Zhang Xiaoxiao suddenly realized that it must be the effect of her own peach wine. Although she made this wine, she really didn't know how effective the peach wine could be, but obviously the effect should be significant. Otherwise, the Queen Mother would not be able to come and block her so early in the morning. But no matter what, Director Wang is an honest person and has helped their family several times. Originally, I took this wine out to express my gratitude to Director Wang. In this case, this favor must be done properly. Isn't it just a few bottles of wine? We are not bad. Zhang Xiaoxiao went in and came out carrying 2 bottles. When the Queen Mother looked at the 2 bottles, the wrinkles on her face softened with a smile. Xiao Zhang, thank you so much. I really didn't expect that meeting you is a blessing to our family. Our old man has suffered so badly from rheumatoid arthritis for so many years. I really didn't expect that your ancestral secret recipe has such a great miraculous effect. How much should this wine cost? You say. We can't take advantage of your child in vain, how can we, the old couple, feel so guilty? The Queen Mother is sincere. After all, this medicinal wine is so effective, and it is really far from the ancestral secret recipe they imagined. How much will it cost if people just use this ancestral secret recipe? To put it bluntly, the girl did not bring it out just to establish friendship with his family. But they can't take advantage of others. This kind of thing must have taken a lot of effort. Moreover, the medicinal materials inside are definitely expensive. You can only see peaches, but in fact there should be other medicinal materials inside. The Queen Mother sincerely doesn't want people to think they are taking advantage. Zhang Xiaoxiao smiled. Auntie, what are you saying about money but not money? Director Wang and I have cooperated so many times and we can be considered friends. Uncle Wang is my friend's father no matter what, I can't accept your money. This wine is something we make casually at home, and it doesn't cost a lot of money. You let your uncle drink it, and if it really works well, you can come to my sister's house to get it at any time. To be honest, she really doesn't lack the money. Their peach wine really doesn't cost much, and the cost is almost nothing. That is, Manager Wang, otherwise she would not give it to others. You child. The Queen Mother was extremely moved. This girl is so sincere. It is true that you do good deeds without expecting anything in return. Zhang Xiaoxiao waved his hand, Auntie, please go back quickly. I have to go to Mr. Song's house. Zhang Xiaoxiao walked away. End of this chapter. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. The Lucky Bag is Reborn with Space. Author, Floating World. Chapter 223. Chapter 223 Joy. The Queen Mother returned home, holding the wine and placing it on the table with a heavy heart. Mr. Wang saw it and wondered why his wife came back like this after going out for a trip. It doesn't look like it's wine. I didn't see these 2 bottles of wine on the table. What happened? Old woman, what's wrong with you? Why did you end up like this after going out? Oh, you don't know. Today, the girl didn't ask me for a penny, which made me even embarrassed. We took advantage of her. This is a secret recipe handed down from her ancestors. It's definitely not easy. Take it out. If it weren't for the friendship with our son, they wouldn't have taken out such a valuable thing. We didn't believe them yesterday. Are you slapped in the face now? The main reason is that I feel bad that we took such a big advantage of this girl. If we don't do something for others, I really think we are going too far. Mr. Wang laughed loudly. You women, you think too much about things. This is not easy to handle. If you think we are taking advantage of others, just help this girl. This girl is now an educated youth. It's not like you don't know that you now have a quota to return to the city. The state is encouraging educated youth to return to the city, but the number is certainly limited. As long as I say hello, this girl can go back to the city. The Queen Mother sighed. That's right. A girl has come all the way here to suffer in this place. If she can go back to the city, let her go back. It's better to be with her parents than here. No need for you to say hello, okay? Let me say hello. I think a batch of lists will be released soon. Zhang Xiaoxiao didn't know that the place to return to the city, which was difficult to achieve in her previous life, would fall on her head so easily. At this time, Zhang Xiaoxiao went to Song's home. However, Song's home is obviously different from Mr. Wang's home. Although Mr. Song lives in a separate courtyard, it looks remote and quiet. If you look at it from a distance, no one would think that there is an old soldier living here. Zhang Xiaoxiao went up and knocked on the door. But unexpectedly, the door is open. Mrs. Song was tidying up her flowers and plants in a greenhouse in the yard. When she saw it, Zhang Xiaoxiao smiled brightly and introduced the little girl into her home. Why are you here so early, kid? Have you eaten? If not, just have some here. Your grandpa Song and I are preparing to have breakfast. Even though old Mrs. Song had only met Zhang Xiaoxiao once, she felt very good about the child. Zhang Xiaoxiao shook his head. Grandma Song, I have already had breakfast. You and the old man can eat it? I didn't bring you something specially. I just happened to help brother Song get the things back. I will go back to the forest farm this afternoon. She should go back. Song Moding made several phone calls recently. Mr. Song told him seriously that she had fallen behind a lot in her recent review and asked her to go back to study quickly. Zhang Xiaoxiao. Song Moding is actually pretty good, and he is sincere towards her. Song Moding doesn't speak so much sweet words, at most he only makes a difference through actions. Hey, but Zhang Xiaoxiao seems to really have feelings for Song Moding. This feeling between people is hard to describe. It is rather mysterious. If she has never considered coming back in this life to develop emotional entanglements with other people. It's not because of the persistent feelings I had for my ex-husband in my previous life. In fact, there was only a simple union between her and her ex-husband in her previous life. Under such a strange coincidence, she had no other choice at that time. I can't go back to the city because such a big thing happened at home. She was really embarrassed and anxious at that time, and her husband happened to be able to provide her with a temporary harbor at that time. Although the deceased ex-husband was married for the second time and had 3 children. But she still married this man without hesitation, not for love, but just because she needed shelter. At that time, something happened to my parents. Family members died and dispersed. For Zhang Xiaoxiao, after all the hardships, her reputation has been ruined. If she doesn't marry that man, who can she marry? But this shelter only lasted a few years. The ex-husband was actually a good person, but there was no love between them. Her ex-husband passed away very early, so she spent all her efforts to support her several stepsons and stepdaughters. These children were also very filial and treated her as her biological mother. But even so, she can't look back. Her ex-husband is not the person she likes, and marrying someone she doesn't love again will not be her choice. Now there is also Song Moding. Song Moding likes her, and she also has a good impression of Song Moding. Zhang Xiaoxiao doesn't know if she will grow old with Song Moding in the future. But at least I'm not disgusted now. Especially now when I meet Mr. Song and Mrs. Song, just by looking at the words and actions of the two elderly people, I can tell that the family atmosphere and environment are very good. The old lady pulled Zhang Xiaoxiao in. She liked the girl in front of her very much. Old man, Xiaoxiao is here, take out the things for your grandson quickly. The old man came out with high spirits, his hands behind his back. What to take? You have prepared so many things, how can a little girl take them back? Well, let's go to the forest farm together, and a driver will take us there. I'll ask Xiao Li to make a special trip. Besides, I haven't been to a forest farm yet, so I'd like to see what it's like. The old lady whispered to Zhang Xiaoxiao. This old man is so stubborn. He obviously wants to see his grandson, but he insists on visiting the forest farm. What's so good about the forest farm? He has been here for 5 or 6 years, and he has never been to the forest farm to trick ghosts. Zhang Xiaoxiao covered his mouth in joy. The old man is still really hard-spoken and soft-hearted. Old woman, are you talking ill of me to that little girl? The old man looked at his old lady's recently stretched eyebrows and the cheerful smile on her face, and he felt a little proud in his heart. The old woman hadn't been in such a good mood for a long time, so he thought they should go to the forest farm. He also said that he was tough talking, but the old woman came over and said that she was staying with him. She was obviously here to see her grandson. Who dares to say bad things about you? Okay, go call Xiao Li and ask him to prepare the car. We will leave with Xiao later. Look, Xiao even brought us something specially. Hey, I like all these things, Xiao, how do you know that I like to eat these things? These dried peaches, canned peaches, and this peach juice, my goodness, you girl is so handy. How come you can do everything? The old lady and Zhang Xiaoxiao were really rude. They just took out these things and looked at them one by one. The more they looked at them, the happier they became. Zhang Xiaoxiao herself is also happy to see others appreciate what she has made, even though she made these things based on some experiences in her previous life. The problem is that I'm so raw now. If it weren't for the fact that her own peaches were produced in space, otherwise, she would be embarrassed to give these things to others. Grandma Song, as long as you like it. If you run out of these things, just call our forest farm and I will ask Song Moding to deliver them to you immediately. Zhang Xiaoxiao winked at Grandma Sang mischievously. Now Song Moding had no reason not to see his grandparents. The old lady understood immediately and smiled even more happily. She really likes this little girl. When driver Xiao Li loaded the thing into the car, Zhang Xiaoxiao finally understood what the old man was talking about. The old lady packed a large box of things, and this box was still a wooden box. Zhang Xiaoxiao was really embarrassed. With my small body, I really can't carry it back. I guess I have to put it quietly in a space when I move it out, otherwise I will never be able to transport it back to the forest farm. End of this chapter. The lucky bag is reborn with space. Author, Floating World. Chapter 224. Chapter 224 Cotters. They got in the car. Zhang Xiaoxiao had already told her eldest sister and brother-in-law that she would go back to the farm today. 3 people and 1 driver go straight on the road. The feeling is still different even if there is a private car to pick you up. However, the car was shaking. Halfway through the journey, Mrs. Song couldn't hold on and had to get out of the car to get some fresh air. The old lady is old, and this road is not easy to walk. The dirt road is basically very bumpy. The old lady feels a little motion sick, feels nauseous, and wants to vomit. Zhang Xiaoxiao helped the man to the roadside where he vomited. While giving the old lady some comfort, she handed her a towel. "Grandma Song, how are you? What kind of road is this? Why is it so bumpy? Half of my life is almost gone." The old lady looked at the dirt road ahead. The car was parked on one side of the road. There were many potholes, big potholes, and small potholes. Although the car has turned off, the dust that was stirred up just now is still in the air. If the old lady hadn't been so nauseous that she couldn't care less, she would have had to cough for a long time. "Zhang Xiaoxiao, look at it, too. There is no way that the reform has not officially started yet. Although there are already signs of policies, it is far from the point of building roads before getting rich. To put it bluntly, the road problem of current rural transportation cannot be solved. The dirt road they have is a mud pit when it rains, and a mud pit when the weather is fine. It's all suffering anyway. Just like when she first came here, she was used to the asphalt roads in the city. When she suddenly came to this country, the road was torturous. Grandma Song has only walked half of the way. If it doesn't work, you and Grandpa should go back to the county first. The road behind is more difficult, and even if the car reaches the foot of our forest farm, you have to walk up the road behind. It's absolutely impossible to drive up. Why should you suffer this? The old man and the old lady are so old, it is really not worth suffering. I guess this is the reason why every time Song Moding went to the county town to see his grandparents, they, the educated youth, never knew that his grandparents were actually here. Even young people can't stand such a trip back and forth, let alone old ladies and gentlemen. Old Mrs. Song shook her head and said, "Don't underestimate my grandma. She participated in the long march. 25,000 miles back then. At that time, we had to walk more than 100 miles at night. During the emergency march, we even covered 200 miles. There are pursuers behind, and there are interceptors in front. Those are planes and artillery shells coming together. At that time, Grandma had to carry it, not to mention that your little broken road was much better than the road we had at that time." The old lady took a military kettle and drank half of the water in one go. She also took out some dried peaches from her satchel, stuffed it into her mouth and chewed it. The old lady's face softened. "Old lady, you better stop being so pushy. If you really can't do it, ask Xiao Li to take you back. I can go alone, and we can catch a ride higher on the road later and we can go as well." The old man felt sorry for his wife. He had never enjoyed happiness in his life, and when he got old, he still had to come to this miserable place to suffer. So he said that he would not let the old lady come and had to come to this place. This old woman didn't listen to her, but this time it will be better, and she will suffer. Looking at his wife's pale face, the old man felt distressed for a while. "That's it? Just praise you for being in better shape than me. Don't worry, I don't have those old problems like yours. Just take care of yourself. Although I have a little nausea and vomiting, I don't have high blood pressure or diabetes. Not like you. You'd better look at yourself. If you want to go back on your own, I won't go back. I have already suffered for a long time and are halfway there. You let me go back. So wasn't the sin I suffered in vain?" The old lady gave the old man a hard roll of her eyes and stood up with one hand on Zhang Xiao's arm. "Girl, don't talk about your dried peaches. The sour and sweet taste is really good. I ate a piece and I felt much better. Come on, let's go. Let's continue riding in the car. Anyway, didn't you say, when we get to the bottom of the farm hill, we still have to come down and walk, then we will go up the hill. Let me see what this environment is like. What kind of farm does my grandson live on? Everyone continued to move forward and soon arrived at the farm. The car stopped at the bottom of the mountain. At this time, someone had already seen the jeep and immediately informed Li Dehua. Mainly because of the boundary of their farm, such jeeps are generally not available, but all jeeps are owned by county cotters. Even the captains of their various farm teams do not receive this kind of treatment. It is already considered great to be able to get a tractor for each other. Some production teams don't even have tractors. When most people see this kind of military green jeep, their first reaction is that cotters from the county are here. So, can Li Dehua get the letter? Li Dehua is currently entertaining the director of the county's Educated Youth Office. He heard that he is here to issue policies. The director of the Educated Youth Affairs Office is very impressive. I didn't see that Director Jin was accompanied by 2 assistants. I heard that they were all staff members under the director. I conveyed the policy to him. It turns out that there are arrangements for the educated youth this year. Some of the educated youth can apply to return to the city. Of course, the educated youth who apply to return to the city must have a clean background and pass the political review. And he is an activist. Each production team has 3 quotas. After all, for their farm, these few production teams will lose 30 or 50 people. Li Dehua secretly calculated. This is good. Today there will be 3 educated youths, and then a group will be sent to the border areas to support them. Their production team will lose 200 to 300 people. For the remaining people, the land becomes too much and the manpower is not enough. And I heard it was said above that educated youth will no longer come, and there will no longer be the problem of educated youth, which means that they must be self-sufficient. Li Dehua secretly regretted that there were 3 educated youths today and 5 tomorrow. In the end, their farm simply did not have enough manpower. The problem is that no one wants to move to the farm. Captain Li, in this case, you need to organize the educated youth to hold a conference. I will publicize this policy to the educated youth on the radio. And these educated youth, you have to sort out the quota as soon as possible and hand over these materials. Give me. I will only stay at your farm for 1 day at most before going to the next farm. Other production teams will send the reported quotas to me as soon as possible. Director Jin is specially responsible for managing the affairs of the Educated Youth Office back to the city. Li Dehua nodded repeatedly. Director Jin was too impressive, especially at lunchtime. Li Dehua had no choice but to arrange for someone to have a meal at their house. The main reason is that now the production team does not have a canteen. It was not convenient to arrange Director Jin anywhere, so in the end he had to go back to his own home. These 3 people are at home. He entertained him with good wine and meat. Director Jin had enough to eat and drink, and was still chatting there for a long time. He was worried about how to send this great man to the brigade headquarters. As a result, someone came to report the arrival of cotters from the county. Li Dehua became anxious when he heard this. Why are they coming one after another? This is a big eater. Even the production captain of my family cannot afford to eat like this. It's not yet autumn, I have nothing at home, and all the little food I have is given to the directors in front of me. Come back, what do cotters do to entertain others? End of this chapter. The lucky bag is reborn with space. Author, Floating World. Chapter 225. Chapter 225, Enthusiastic Little Fat Hands. This is your production brigade. I didn't expect this farm to be pretty good. Look at how well it's built. Mr. Song and Mrs. Song could see a panoramic view of the entire farm at the bottom of the mountain. In fact, their Kenking farm is indeed well constructed. Although in this era, the farm is remote and no one wants to come. People feel that it is hard and tiring. But many years from now, this will be the largest granary of the motherland. The food produced on this fertile land will supply the food bank of the whole country, accounting for almost half of the food supply of the country's population. The old man and the old lady are all from poor backgrounds, so they have a better impression of this place and feel more empathy for it. Our Kenking farm is the most advanced grain production farm in the county. By the way, old man and old lady, look at this field just by the roadside. Did you see it? It's so lush and looks obviously bigger than the other fields are more lush and green, and this land belongs to our small collective. Zhang Xiaoxiao showed them the way. In fact, she felt very guilty. She hadn't cared about it before, but this time there was a clear comparison, because it was almost the autumn harvest. To put it bluntly, the rice fields were now covered with heavy ears of rice. Now it seemed that the rice in their fields was obviously more dense than the other. The rice in other fields grew even better. They are half a head taller. It is obvious that many people can see that their fields are growing better and faster than other fields. Zhang Xiaoxiao deeply suspected that the spring water in his own space played a role. The problem is that I have already watered it, and I really didn't expect such an outstanding result. But if this is the case, they should have a bumper harvest this year, and 1 acre of land can produce at least more than 100 kilograms of more grain. At this rate, they will be able to harvest at least 1,000 more kilograms of grain. Then their small group will definitely win the championship this year. You know, if you can be rated as an advanced group these days, you will be rewarded with a bicycle. They have a bicycle on this mountain road, so it will be much easier. Even though I will be preparing for the college entrance examination in a few months, the college entrance examination is a college entrance examination. Since I work here, I have to do my job well. Zhang Xiaoxiao doesn't feel ashamed of farming. At least during the time they are here, they will become the best, which is enough to make people feel satisfied. Oh, don't tell me, your farming here is pretty impressive. I thought you were all kids from the city and have never suffered in the countryside. How could you know how to farm? I didn't expect you, the production captain, would be able to farm. He is quite good at educating people, and he has taught you how to farm so quickly. The land cultivated by Laobao is probably like this. I guess the land cultivated by Laobao may not be better than the land cultivated by you. As soon as the old man heard that he was interested, he went directly to the edge of the field. People rolled up their trouser legs, took off their shoes, took off their socks, and went directly into the rice fields. A strand of rice ears picked up by hand and pushed away with fingers. Although the rice ears are not yet fully mature, the grains of the plucked rice ears are plump. The old man blew off the outer shell, put the uncooked rice grains into his mouth, chewed them carefully, and couldn't help but nod. Hey, your rice seeds are pretty good. This rice tastes delicious and tough. When you harvest it, send me some of this rice, and let me, an old man, have a taste of your new rice. This is my grandson. The rice they grow is better than the rice grown by other people. The old man was a little proud when he said this. At this time, Li Dehua and Director Jin arrived. Once I heard that county leaders were coming, why didn't Director Jin come? He used to be the director of the Revolutionary Committee. He used to jump very fast and managed to jump from an ordinary worker to his current position. That's how many fights it took to get to this point. At this time, seeing that those noisy things had quieted down and the country's policy trends were changing, Director Jin quickly changed the flag. He has a big thick leg, and his brother-in-law is the leader of the county. That's why he was able to make do and became the director of the Educated Youth Office. To put it bluntly, Director Jin is very good at cleaning himself up. I heard that a leader from the county is actually here. How could he not come out and show his face and become familiar with me? Maybe he can be used in the county in the future. Li Dehua took a look and saw that the old man in front of him had just climbed up from the field. His feet were all muddy, but although the old man had gray hair, he was very energetic. And that demeanor and eyes can be seen, this is definitely a cotter. The question is, who is this person? He didn't recognize him, but he saw Zhang Xiaoxiao with a quick glance. Li Dehua's face looked the same. At least he recognized Zhang Xiaoxiao. Zhang Xiaoxiao, who is this? Zhang Xiaoxiao took a look and thought, yes. Whenever a jeep is dispatched, the farm director must be alerted. This is 100% impossible. Anyone who lets this place see a car must be a cotter. Captain Li, this is Mr. Song, the grandfather of Song Moding and Song's hiking. Zhang Xiaoxiao quickly introduced that she didn't know what exactly Mr. Song did in the county. Is he retired or an old cotter? We don't know anything. You know, Mr. Song and I had a meal yesterday and we're sitting in the same car today. There is no place to introduce it even if I want to. Upon hearing this, Director Jin immediately squeezed Li Dehua away. Because of his nimble movements, he almost pushed Zhang Xiaoxiao directly into the field. If it weren't for Mrs. Song's quick eyesight and quick hands, she grabbed Zhang Xiaoxiao, and Zhang Xiaoxiao would have fallen headlong into the field. Comrade Song, old leader, you have come all the way to the farm to inspect the work in person, why don't you say hello in advance? I happen to be coming to Kenking Farm too, so we can hang out together. I would like to accompany you to inspect the work. You can see how old and strong you are, even at this age you are still going into battle yourself. This makes all those working under us feel ashamed. Although Director Jin has never met Mr. Song, he recognizes this car. This car is from a certain district in the county, with a special license plate, and the driver looks familiar to me. Although he couldn't tell who the person in front of him was, he knew that the person who could use this special brand of driver and vehicle was definitely not a simple person, so he was definitely right to place a high hat on him. Mr. Song was also stunned. How could he so easily alert everyone here? He was most impatient to deal with this. In the past, he had no choice. He was in his position and had to socialize even if he couldn't bear to socialize. But it's different now. When he retires, he naturally wants to be quiet. Retire by himself. Although the formal retirement procedures have not yet been completed, he just wants to be quiet. I can only be considered as a nominal employee for a few years, not a formal position. Comrade, you are mistaken. I'm not here to inspect the work. I'm just here to visit relatives. I happened to take a ride in a relative's friend's car along the way. They picked me up here along the way, and the car left after a while. Yes. You must not delay your work because of me. What the old man said was so sincere that it was hard not to believe it. Director Jin's enthusiastic chubby hands paused and then retracted in embarrassment. Not a leader? It can't be done. But people say no. Zhang Xiaoxiao suppressed a laugh. The old man is really funny, he can still play like this. I admire you. End of this chapter. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. The Lucky Bag is reborn with space. Author, Floating World. Chapter 226. Chapter 226 Offended to Death. Are you not a cotter? Director Jin was a little hesitant. Could it be that cotters could come here in a cotter's car? Mr. Song nodded. I have retired a long time ago, and now I am an old man who walks around and plays chess all day long. My grandson is an educated youth at their Kenking farm, and I came here specially to take a look. I happened to arrive in the county town and met an old acquaintance. His relatives were very welcoming, so they specially sent a family driver to bring me here. Zhang Xiaoxiao was almost happy. Old man, you are really not kind. This is Chi Kuokyo's deceitful person. Old MRS song also explained seriously, yes, this comrade, our old man has retired a long time ago. The two of us are here specifically to see our grandson. Don't talk nonsense, what kind of leaders are we? In case others heard us and thought we were pretending to be county leaders. We cannot afford to wear this hat. The old lady is also the most impatient to deal with these people, and she is always fawning and rushing to get up. It's not just the old man who looked at them and gave them some rights in return. Director Jin stepped back, his expression suddenly changed. It's not that the leader is pretending to be a leader, which has caused me to go through so many wrongdoings. Come on, come on, come on. You go quickly and go see your grandson. And this place can't be in chaos. If you lose the seedlings, if you step on it, what should you do? This is collective property and you must protect it. You cannot bear the crime of destroying collective property. This is to get angry and want to slap a hat on someone. Zhang Xiaoxiao hurriedly stepped forward. Comrade, what did you say? It's none of your business if we go our own way. You came here on your own. Who is pretending to be a leader? You didn't. I heard that so-and-so's grandfather was mentioned when I introduced it to the production team leader just now. We didn't say anything outrageous. You have to be responsible for what you say. Besides, why are you destroying collective property? That piece of land belongs to our farm. The old man's grandson cultivated this land himself. Would you like to go down and see how your grandson is doing at work? How can this be called destruction of collective property? Slandering others requires evidence. We can't just rely on your words to talk nonsense. Zhang Xiaoxiao actually didn't want to argue with Director Jin so much, but what he said was too damaging. It was obvious that he had made a mistake, but he still wanted to regain the situation and said that someone else was pretending to be him. You must know that pretending to be a county leader is a big or small thing. Anyone can make a small report, and the police will come to your door. Most people cannot afford this kind of crime. Besides, Director Jin in front of him is not a good bird either. He did a lot of harm to the educated youth here. Taking the opportunity of the educated youths returning to the city, many educated youths were asked to accept bribes, and they even fell in love with many female educated youths and took advantage of the opportunity. Many people endured their anger in order to return to the city. Jiashu was also taken advantage of by this old boy for her sake. Zhang Xiaoxiao did not expect that this old boy would come to him so quickly. I originally thought that they would not exist this time, so I came to this old boy to return to the city. Of course, there was no need to swallow his anger and accept this anger. Unexpectedly, this man wanted to die and bumped into him. Zhang Xiaoxiao gritted his teeth a little. Should we seek revenge with hatred or should we complain with resentment? It is definitely unrealistic to kill people. We are a society ruled by law. Zhang Xiaoxiao is not prepared to be a powerful, chivalrous and righteous person who kills without blood. But she can't let this kind of person go. So there is righteous indignation, and of course there is also intentionality. When Director Jin heard this, he became angry. The stubby finger almost pointed at Zhang Xiaoxiao's nose. What's your name? Are you also an educated youth on the farm, right? Captain Li, this is your person. You have to educate him well. See how arrogant this young man is now? Is this how you speak to the leader with this attitude? If someone like her doesn't undergo labor reform, she won't know what she's doing. This was the first time that Director Jin was pointed at and scolded by a young educated youth. Originally, he didn't want to say anything. I looked at the little girl in front of me. She was fair and pretty. I wondered if I could remember her name in the future. Who knew that if the little girl in front of me didn't open her mouth, she would hold a hand when she opened her mouth. The screwdriver poked his own lung tube. What are these words? In front of so many people, point your finger at a leader and scold him. He has never seen such an arrogant young man. Director Jin was so angry that the fat on his cheeks was jumping. It was originally a goldfish eye, and with these cheeks, it turned into a frog. Lita, who is in a bad mood. Although he had no friendship with Director Jin, it was the first time for everyone to meet each other, but after spending this day together, he could feel that Director Jin was not a good person. His mouth looked kind and gentle, and he seemed to have no temper, but the underlying meaning behind his words was that he wanted to take advantage. Those eyes always circle around the beautiful female educated youth. After all, Lita, who is well informed and has seen such people. But after all, they are the leaders from above and can be regarded as the immediate superiors of the educated youth. Those in charge are Zhang Xiaoxiao and the others. If Zhang Xiaoxiao refuses to obey and wants to return to the city, it will not be easy. After all, he felt quite good about this girl, and this girl had done so many great things for the farm, so he thought that if there was a chance to return to the city this time, he also wanted to report Zhang Xiaoxiao's name. If he offends Director Jin now, Zhang Xiaoxiao will have a rough time in the future. There is no need to say much, as long as he suppresses it and refuses to approve it, Zhang Xiaoxiao will never return to the city in his life. Hurry up and smooth things over. Director Jin, this child is young and doesn't understand anything. She just talks nonsense when she opens her mouth. Don't pay attention to her. You have a lot of people, so don't care about this little girl. You see, you have been tired all day. Walk. I will send you to the brigade headquarters to have a good rest. You still have tasks to do tomorrow. The educated youth on our farm are still counting on you to make the decision. For such a young person, please ignore her. I will take care of her in 2 days and I promise to relieve your anger. Lita, who stretched out his arm, ready to help Director Jin and walk back directly to the brigade headquarters. He has already asked people to pack up 2 rooms at the brigade headquarters, which are enough for these 3 people to live in. It really doesn't work out. He is bringing some peanuts and other things tonight, and he is bringing 2 bottles of soju to have a drink with Director Jin, at least to settle the matter. Director Jin cannot be allowed to hold a grudge against Zhang Xiaoxiao. When Director Jin heard this, he felt more at ease. This is what people say. He glared at Zhang Xiaoxiao and said, "What is this girl's name?" A person with such a poor ideological consciousness, sharp tongue, and no sense of collectiveness or superiority and inferiority at all must not be allowed to take over us. There are a large number of quotas for motivated educated youth. I will make a note of it when I go back. It is better for this educated youth to undergo labor reform. Going back will also destroy socialist harmony. Director Jin has made up his mind. He will never let Zhang Xiaoxiao return to the city so smoothly. This dead girl must let her completely transform into a rural woman in this mud. Look at how arrogant she is. End of this chapter. The lucky bag is reborn with space. Author, Floating World. Chapter 227. Chapter 227. She must apologize to me. Mr. Song frowned. This is not over yet. Who is this Director Jin? Who gave him such great power? With him controlling the educated youth and doing whatever he wants, he cannot become a local bully. Lita, who hurriedly winked at Zhang Xiaoxiao, "You kid, why don't you apologize to Director Jin quickly? Director Jin has a lot of money, so why would you care about a little girl like you?" He really defended Zhang Xiaoxiao and wanted to ease the atmosphere. Zhang Xiaoxiao smiled and said, "Is this Director Jin? I just said something wrong. I shouldn't say that you are self-righteous. You admit yourself to the wrong person. I apologize to you. Our leaders have already said that if you know your mistakes, you can correct them, and there is no great way to do good. Please forgive me, a young educated youth who is weak and helpless. It is my fault that I cannot offend you. I understand that you hold the power of my life and death. I beg you, please never decide my future with just one sentence. I was wrong. I never thought you could cover the sky with just one hand. I am so sorry. Li Dehua was so anxious that he almost jumped up and slapped Zhang Xiaoxiao. This girl, he tried his best to smooth things over for her. She was actually more domineering than Director Jin. After all, she was also the leader above, how could she talk like that? This is not to offend people to death. This is an apology. This is obviously causing trouble for others. Director Jin, this little kid can't talk. Don't argue with her. Let's go. I'll treat you to a drink tonight. My second brother is serving as a soldier outside and he even sent some canned meat back. That's all. It's good canned beef and canned luncheon meat, so we can eat together tonight. Li Dehua winked at the two department members next to him. Hurry up, your director is already angry, don't you know how to come up and try to persuade me? He alone can't get Director Jin away. The two staff members really didn't want to see Director Jin, and were just waiting to watch the fun. Everyone is in his position to seek his own policies, but Director Jin is just trying to take advantage of his position. They followed Director Jin all the way to no less than 3 or 5 farms. Every farm they visited was delicious and delicious. Moreover, because of the last quota they handed in, they often used the euphemistic name of communicating with educated youths to exchange ideas. Work. Male educated youths would bring cigarettes and drinks to his house every now and then. She never stopped inviting guests to dinner. This man insists on having female educated youths accompany him when he is eating. Whichever one is pretty has to accompany him and do some touching. That is the norm. They have long been dissatisfied with this superior leader, but there is no way to say they are dissatisfied, because they are inferior to others. Under whom should I work? Now if they meet a small steel cannon who does not believe in evil, of course they are happy to watch the fun. It's better to make this matter bigger and see how Director Jin ends up. The two of them just stood by and watched. Director Jin was so stunned by Zhang Xiaoxiao's words that he could vomit out a mouthful of old blood. This dead girl in front of me is really bad. She looks fair and clean, and what she says is simply unacceptable. He opened his mouth without uttering any curse words. He was obviously apologizing to himself, but the words he spoke to him were so insulting to him that he was completely hurt. I wanted to point my nose and scold him for covering the sky with his hands and trying to put on small shoes for others. Even though he is not afraid of what others say, these are just ordinary people. What can he do to him if he says it? He won't lose a piece of flesh. But it doesn't look good on your face when you say this. There are two subordinates beside you. These two people have long been dissatisfied with themselves, and they deliberately contradicted him along the way. It was a good thing at this moment. After hearing this, I didn't look at the half-smiling expressions on the faces of the two people. This is a sincere joke on oneself. If he doesn't give this little girl a kick today, these two subordinates may still listen to themselves in the future. Director Jin gritted his teeth, pointed at Zhang Xiaoxiao and said to Li Dehua, "Captain Li, such an educated youth is disobedient to discipline and has no authority. She has no leader or group in her eyes, and she is so tricky with her mouth. I tell you, she must be reformed through labor. I will write her name down when I get back today. A person like this must be sent to the frontier and undergo a good labor reform so that she can know how to serve the people. Their educated youth office is in charge of the lists of educated youth sent to the frontiers. To put it bluntly, the reason why he dares to cover the sky with one hand is because they have too many things to do with educated youths. These educated youths on their several farms add up to tens of thousands of people. To put it bluntly, he takes kickbacks and takes advantage of the educated youth, not just because there are more people and fewer places. This time, it's called Chikuakyo wearing small shoes. Li Dehua was anxious. Director Jin, she is just a child, why do you care about her? You are such a big shot, you have to deal with many things every day, and you are busy with many things. If you care about such a little girl, Isn't that right? Give her face. Your Majesty, don't argue with her. We won't attack her. Let's walk, walk, walk. Let's hurry up and support the frontier. If her little arms and legs are gone, then you will die of exhaustion there. He glared at Zhang Xiaoxiao fiercely. Damn girl, please restrain yourself. Zhang Xiaoxiao glanced at Director Jin. It would be false to say that she didn't mean it. She was just planning to do it. Compared with the backstage, she didn't have a backstage. To put it bluntly, if you dare to act so recklessly, isn't it because there is an official Wang behind you? Because of her friendship with Director Wang, coupled with her ancestral secret recipe, she had just saved Director Wang's father's leg, so she asked for it on her own, so as not to involve herself. Besides, in this matter, she did not commit any crime, or she caused trouble for no reason. To put it bluntly, she was the victim. It's just that the righteous stood up and said something. Besides, who is Director Jin talking about? I'm talking about Mr. Song, and I'm talking about Song Moding's grandparents. Regarding the friendship between Mr. Wang and Mr. Song, if they don't side with her, how could they still side with Director Jin? She was determined to deal with Director Jin and force Director Jin to do something bad to her. Only then could she catch Director Jin. Otherwise those educated youths would never have reported on Director Jin, and Director Jin's two subordinates would not dare to offend Director Jin rashly now. But there is a person who takes care of Director Jin. The wall fell and everyone pushed it. She will be the first brick to fall. You didn't hear the thing this little girl said just now. She actually said that I cover the sky with one hand. I am the leader of the socialist people and I serve the people, and she actually said that to me. You talk about it and let others hear it, and they think I have done something bad that makes people complain. Let me tell you, Captain Lee, she must solemnly apologize to me today, otherwise. You can't blame me for this. You all have also seen the attitude of this little girl. Just because of her attitude, she will suffer a big loss in the future. Director Jin could only use the steps to go down. After all, his two men were still there watching. End of this chapter. The lucky bag is reborn with space. Author, Floating World. Chapter 228. Chapter 228 Writing and Inspection. Comrade, I think the little girl is right. Why should she apologize to you? She didn't say anything excessive, she just admitted her mistake to you, and her attitude was quite sincere. Mr. Song opened his mouth, and his voice sounded a bit majestic as a senior. The so-called Director Jin in front of him wouldn't have said such a thing if he and the old woman hadn't caused this person's misunderstanding. You said you misunderstood, just misunderstood. How did you say it? Zhang Xiaoxiao offended Director Jin in front of him in order to protect them. Looking at what Director Jin said, it was obvious that he also wanted to put on small shoes for the girl in front of him. Of course the old man is not happy. Having been an official for so many years, this is the first time he has seen such an arrogant person. What do you mean by serving the people? This is how you serve the people? Old comrade, this matter has nothing to do with you. I haven't held you responsible for pretending to be a county leader just now. It's inappropriate for you to come out and say this now. What did this girl just say? Say that I am covering the sky with only one hand. Which hand of mine covers the sky? Just saying this to her shows that her ideological consciousness is very poor. Without proper labor reform, people like her will become poisonous insects that harm society in the future. Director Jin has long disliked the old man and the old lady, and this incident was caused by these two people. What kind of cotter are you pretending to be? I think I am a city dweller, and if I wear 4 pockets of clothes, I am a cotter. Who doesn't know that clothes with 4 pockets are cotter uniforms, so ordinary people have nothing to do and want to make 4 pockets. Just to make you look good, now would be a good time to come to them and pretend to be the leader. What if it weren't for the old man and the old lady who caused such a big misunderstanding? What is happening now is that he cannot get off the stage here. Director Jin, I have already apologized just now. How do you want me to express my sincerity to apologize to you? Zhang Xiaoxiao knows the Director Jin in front of him very well. Didn't Director Jin do harm to him in his previous life? It's not just that he took a fancy to his own face, otherwise how could he force Jia Shu to look like that? If you don't believe the trap in her own language, Director Jin will not take the bait. Director Jin saw that the girl's tone had softened. She must have been frightened by what he just said. Which educated youth is willing to support border construction? To put it bluntly, no one knows that they will suffer hardships there and may not be able to go back for the rest of their lives. I sneered in my heart, what's the matter, little guy? You must be scared now. My heart relaxed, and I immediately looked at the girl in front of me. I felt that it was unusual. This girl was indeed pretty. I didn't pay much attention just now because I was angry, but now I looked at the girl carefully. Her skin was like jade, as white and delicate as the egg whites that had just been peeled. Lu's eyebrows, the eyebrows of the corners of the eyes were raised slightly, and looked with the charm of people. The lips were red and gorgeous, and now they smiled slightly. Suddenly, my heart ached. In the past, he had always touched female educated youths and took advantage of them, but he didn't dare to think about what really happened to them. After all, there are still people around me. Moreover, there are really too many things going on, and I won't be able to handle them when the time comes, but the female educated youth in front of me personally gave her the handle. His eyes rolled. If you, a young educated youth, really want to apologize, then go back and write a letter of apology and send it to me. As long as you are sincere, I won't be able to forgive you. Let me tell you, I can only stay here for one day, stay here for one night, and we will return to the city tomorrow afternoon. You have to send it in for examination as early as possible, otherwise, you will be put on the list. You can't blame me for that. Director Jin has already thought that if this dead girl doesn't really want to be sent to support border construction, then it's best to come to him this afternoon. Then he will find an excuse to say that her writing is not up to standard and ask her to go back and rewrite it. And bring it to myself in the evening. Isn't this the best excuse? Zhang Xiaoxiao smiled. Director Jin is so careless. He used this excuse in his last life, but he went with Jia Shu in his last life. Director Jin was furious in the office and gave her a severe scolding. Can't you think of another excuse? Director, don't worry, I will write a check as soon as I get back, and I promise to deliver it to your office before dark. This guarantee is absolutely sincere. Director Jin nodded with satisfaction. It's quite discerning. Li Dehu saw Director Jin pick it up, put it down gently, and write an inspection. What a big deal. Who hasn't written several inspections? Writing inspections is not a big deal. Hurry up and give Zhang Xiaoxiao a wink, go back and write a check quickly, and finish this matter as soon as possible, otherwise this person will really hate you. Hook Director Jin and walk back. Director, two comrades, you have been working hard for a long time, let's go back and take a rest. The two staff members glared at Zhang Xiaoxiao fiercely. They didn't expect that this girl was so full of teeth and claws that she looked like a paper tiger. She immediately gave up when she was frightened. At first I thought I could watch a big show, but now it's better to stop immediately and just write a check for others. They walked away, and Mr. Song chopped his foot hard. Xiao Li, call me when you get back and ask the county who sent Director Jin. What are all these things? This is not serving the educated youth. This is simply riding on the heads of the educated youth. Be a blessing. It is not easy for these educated youths to go to the countryside, but they end up meeting such leaders. How can this be fair, just and reasonable? This person doesn't look like a fair, just or reasonable person. There is something fishy about the lack of guaranteed quota for returning to the city this time. Ask them to check it out for me. I'd like to take a look once we get to the bottom of it. What is this? The old man was angry. The old lady hurriedly went up to help the old man. She glanced at Zhang Xiaoxiao sympathetically. If they hadn't come with her, Zhang Xiaoxiao couldn't possibly suffer this unreasonable disaster, but he could tell just by looking like Director Jin. Even if they don't come, I'm afraid Director Jin will still be dominating the matter of educated youth. Xiaoxiao, don't be afraid. Your grandparents will make the decision for you. You must not let them put on small shoes for the people underneath. Zhang Xiaoxiao didn't care and laughed heartlessly. Grandpa and Grandma, don't worry, isn't it just writing an examination? Don't worry, I'm the best at writing examinations. She really didn't want the old man and his wife to come to visit Songmoding, because this incident made her mood bad. Let's go, I'll take you up the mountain, but you can only walk up it, and the car can't go up it. You should exercise. Take the initiative to take the lead and walk up the mountain. The old man and the old lady looked at this girl's careless look and shook their heads. This child is too simple. Do you really think that writing an inspection can solve this problem? End of this chapter. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. The Lucky Bag is reborn with space. Author, Floating World. Chapter 229. Chapter 229. Grandma, I really feel that we are not ready to get married yet. As soon as you arrive at the forest farm. Zhang Xiaoxiao went to the dormitory first, but there was no one in the dormitory, and no one was seen in the fields on the way here. I guess they should go to work in the woods and take good care of their ginseng seedlings. I specifically told them that these ginseng seedlings cannot be grown in 1 year. This is their future economic benefit. Everyone really takes good care of the ginseng seedlings in the field. Immediately put the old lady and the old man into Songmoding's house. The weather is hot now, so Songmoding and Hyeguo moved out of the dormitory of everyone again. After all, so many empty rooms are empty, so there is no need to squeeze into a kong and sweat. The old man and the old lady looked at the conditions in the grandson's dormitory and couldn't help but nodded. It was not as bitter as imagined. The two old people were soaked in bitter water. Zhang Xiaoxiao asked the two old people to sit here and rest for a while, and she hurried to the fields to find someone. As expected, when we came to the edge of the forest, we saw about 10 figures in the field from a distance. I guessed that everyone was busy here. After all, the land under the mountain has basically been cleared away and is just waiting for the autumn harvest. To put it bluntly, the work is the easiest now. Songmoding, brother Song, come here quickly, someone is here to see you. Zhang Xiaoxiao waved at the edge of the field and did not go directly to the ground for fear of stepping on the ginseng seedlings. Songmoding was bending over to pull weeds. These ginseng seedlings are so valuable that they don't even dare to use A to pull weeds here. Afraid of damaging the ginseng seedlings. It was almost like an offering from the ancestors. I didn't see that all the weeding was done manually. As soon as I heard Zhang Xiaoxiao's voice, I felt happy. I haven't seen Zhang Xiaoxiao in a few days. This girl runs to the county town all day long, and now the county town has almost become her home. Although I call their forest farm every now and then, the problem is that I can't say anything through the phone. Especially with the field director standing next to me, even if I feel lovesickness in my heart, I can't say it out loud. But he really missed this girl, missed her cheerful smile, missed her naughty eyes, and missed her cooking. In the past, he felt that the ancients often wrote that one day was like 3 autumns after 3 autumns, which were just moaning for no reason, and the sad thoughts of spring and autumn that came from literati. In fact, how can the relationship between a man and a woman be so long that they can't see each other for a day, like 3 autumns? But now he suddenly understood. This feeling made him understand that the 3 autumns in one day were really written by the ancients after they had experienced them. One person's feelings for another person can indeed be strong. Even if they don't see each other for a minute, it's as hard as if they haven't seen each other for a year. When he looked up, he saw the girl's bright smile, and his eyes and brows couldn't help but smile. If it weren't for so many people being here, he really wanted to rush up and pick up this girl. Others also heard Zhang Xiao's voice. Song Moding walked out of the ground and walked directly to Zhang Xiao. This girl must have been running too fast and was out of breath. But his eyes were shining and he was still energetic. After not seeing each other for a few days, this girl seems to have grown taller. Song Moding's eyes were gentle. What's going on? You're running so fast. It doesn't matter if you run slower. Zhang Xiao ran so fast, calling Song Moding as he ran. Moding didn't hear clearly, but he knew he was calling him Brother Song. Zhang Xiao grabbed Song Moding's arm and said, "Brother Song, go back and take a look. Someone is coming to visit you." Took him and walked back. Song Moding pursed his lips and smiled, with the corners of his mouth slightly curved with pride. This little girl is like this every time. Her slender fingers slide down smoothly. He quietly took hold of Jiang's little finger, put his 5 fingers together, and held the little hand tightly in his palm, feeling the delicate and warm skin. There was a whistle from behind. Zhang Xiao realized belatedly that they were actually holding hands. You must know that this was the 1970s. Hand in hand, this is definitely ahead of its time. Even if they are in love, ordinary men and women would never dare to hold hands openly in front of others, or do anything excessive. His face turned red involuntarily, and he wanted to shake off Song Moding's big hand. Song Moding held her hand ruthlessly, and she couldn't shake it off no matter how hard she tried. And proudly raised a pair of tightly clasped hands and waved back. Incited more chaotic whistles from behind. Hurry up and let go. What will it look like if others see you? Zhang Xiao was anxious. She was not an old antique. But society does not allow it now. You must know that if there is a problem with the style of men and women in this era, you will be sentenced. Song Moding, let go. You are my girlfriend. Now I think we should get married, otherwise even holding hands would be unfair. You have been gone for so many days, and I miss you so much. You're just a little kid. Those who are heartless will not remember to come back after going to the county seat. Song Moding didn't realize how sad his tone was, like a resentful woman who couldn't see her husband. Pook, oops, my eldest grandson is actually getting married. Before Zhang Xiao could reply, a voice suddenly came out. Zhang Xiao looked at the old lady in astonishment, pulled the old man and stood face to face with them on the road. Looking at each other. His face turned red all of a sudden, and his hand was still held tightly by Song Moding. You still don't let go. This time she was really anxious. She didn't think of announcing her relationship to the old man and the old lady. After all, they haven't really reached the stage of establishing a relationship yet, and it's too soon to meet their parents. Song Moding also had a look of astonishment in his eyes. He gently let go of Zhang Xiao's hand. He had no idea how his grandfather and grandma would appear in front of him. Grandpa and grandma are doing well in the county town. Why don't you come here if you don't wait? The road is not easy to walk, and grandma is prone to motion sickness. You are suffering. He felt sorry for his grandma when she was little. He knew that she was prone to motion sickness, and she was prone to vomiting and dizziness. The old lady pulled her grandson and looked at Zhang Xiao with a smile. This girl looked very close from the beginning. She didn't expect that the girl was the person she saw. It seems that I have the same vision as my eldest grandson. She didn't know how outstanding this child was, but she could actually like this girl now. It seems that their family is about to have a happy event. Okay, let's go, Xiao Xiao, Come here, grandma is holding you. You see, you have held someone's little hand, but you have to be responsible for them. It happened that the wedding took place while the grandparents were here. You can't be sorry, or else grandma will beat you up. Hold Zhang Xiaoxiao with one hand, and the more he looked at her, the more he fell in love with her. Zhang Xiaoxiao's mouth twitched. Grandma, we really don't want to get married yet. End of this chapter. The lucky bag is reborn with space. Author, Floating World. Chapter 230. Chapter 230. How can I be willing to let Zhang Xiaoxiao suffer? Song Moding was sitting in the dormitory with his grandparents. Zhang Xiaoxiao ducked into the kitchen to work. He had to avoid her. Looking at the old lady's eyes, Zhang Xiaoxiao was afraid that the old lady would eat her up. The old man looked at his grandson with a straight face and a very serious expression. Is it true what you just said about getting married? Song Moding was furious when he heard his grandfather's words. What are these words? Is it possible that they are also false? Falling in love without marriage as a prerequisite is just being a hooligan. My grandfather doesn't trust me so much. Is his character so bad? I was so angry that I was about to give my grandpa a hard slap. The old lady was angry. What nonsense are you talking about, old man? Of course my grandson is serious. Can you talk about marriage casually? Who is my grandson? Let me tell you, if you talk to your grandson in this tone again, you will get out of the mountain immediately. Go back to your county. I get angry when I see you, and I can't speak properly every time. The corners of the old man's mouth trembled. Did you see that his daughter-in-law is crooked, with her elbows turned outwards? I didn't even think about whether Song Moding's surname was not Song, so why did he turn away, and he turned around all the way to the Song family. Grandpa and Grandma, I wasn't ready to tell you this now, but now that you have discovered it, I will officially declare that Zhang Xiaoxiao is the person I love most. I want to marry her and take care of her. She wants to start a family with her. Song Moding deliberately raised his voice, and the penetrating power of the sound was transmitted directly from the dormitory into the kitchen. Zhang Xiaoxiao was stunned by his words, but there was still a hint of sweetness in his heart. Song Moding told her. In fact, love in this era is very simple, and there are not so many evil love affairs as in later generations. Love is simple companionship and tolerance. Love is commitment and responsibility to a person. Song Moding is a simple and enthusiastic person, a pure straight man. Zhang Xiaoxiao had a feeling that it would most likely be impossible to get a warm and sweet word from Song Moding. Looking at Mr. Song, you can see that the inherited genes are very powerful. While cutting the shredded potatoes, I sighed a little. Are the two of them going too fast? It has been less than a year since I came to the farm. If you want to get married now, your age will never allow it. It's a pity that age is not a problem in this era. Many people get married at the age of 17 or 18 with a simple ceremony and wait until they are older to get the certificate. Or everyone as a witness. The marriage certificate became secondary. But if she dares to do this, her parents will probably be furious. Her eldest sister is secretly getting married here. I want to get married secretly here, so my parents will probably beat Song Moding to death. Honestly, he abducted his daughter to the farm and couldn't come back. She could imagine what her parents and brothers would be like when they came up. Well, really worried. Now that the old man and the old lady are here, they must prepare a sumptuous meal. Zhang Xiaoxiao didn't think about anything else. Anyway, they were going to go to college and return to the city. Even if she gets married here now, it doesn't matter. Just get married. Anyway, she has no objection to Song Moding. This man is kind, upright and generous. Basically, I haven't found any shortcomings on my body, but of course there will definitely be shortcomings. Even if you are not perfect yourself, why should you expect others to be perfect? If she had no special plans or arrangements for her rebirth before, she had not even thought about getting married again. But this time, because of the appearance of Song Moding, she began to feel that she should consider having a family of her own. This time, she wants to have a child of her own. But think about the 3 children in the previous life who were raised by him so hard and who were very filial to him. I still feel a little melancholy in my heart. Without her in this life, will the fate of the 3 children change? In her previous life, she had no relationship with her ex-husband, but she had a deep relationship with her 3 children. The hard work she put into those 3 children, and the subsequent filial piety that the 3 children treated her like their own mother, made her she couldn't bear this feeling. But now that she has Song Moding, she will never follow the same path of her previous life. Go and marry someone who has no feelings and become a couple. Since it is impossible for me to take care of the 3 children, I can only try my best to hope that my ex-husband can change his destiny and not become a widower again, let alone die early. It seems that I have to go take a look in a few days. If I remember correctly, my ex-husband should be getting ready to get married by now. There were a lot of disputes about the marriage, so when he married his daughter-in-law and returned home, people at home were dissatisfied. It was because the mother-in-law and father-in-law were very dissatisfied with the daughter-in-law and found faults in all kinds of ways, which made their life at home unsatisfactory at all after they got married. It also caused the problems that his wife had after giving birth to children. Her body became weaker and weaker. After giving birth to 3 children, she suffered severe bleeding and left the 3 children behind. This time, Zhang Xiaoxiao hopes that the 3 children will grow up well under the care of their parents. Even without her stepmother, they can still look like they were in their previous life. This is what she should do. Zhang Xiaoxiao has many things on his mind. The atmosphere in the room has changed. The old lady excitedly held her grandson's hand and chattered there. Okay, grandson, you want to get married, and grandma supports you. You don't have to worry about your dad. You can't count on your dad anyway. Xiao Xiao is a good girl. Grandma can see that this child is cheerful and lively. And she is neat and generous in doing things. If you marry such a girl, she will definitely live a good life with you. People, you still have to have someone you like by your side throughout your life. Only if you live like this can you enjoy it. Grandma definitely supports you. The old man snorted coldly, how come you have followed me all your life and you are still at a loss? He was dissatisfied with what the old lady said. What does it mean to have someone you like by your side for the rest of your life? There is no difference between what they like or dislike when they get married. The superior leaders introduce each other and then form a family. Is it possible that the old lady still has someone she is thinking about? I was a big soldier at the beginning and could not read a word. The old lady was a cultural person. It is said that although the family was not from a good background, the old lady was the first to participate in the revolution. He also knows that he is not worthy of others. But it's been a lifetime, and the old lady is now saying whether she likes it or not. He feels so sad in his heart. You haven't wronged me, you haven't wronged me yet? If it weren't for you, our eldest son would be 43 now, and our little girl would be at least 28 by now and should have a family. Do you think I should be wronged? Deficit. The old lady rolled her eyes at her old man. Let's talk about whether it is a loss or not in front of the children. But when talking about this matter, the old lady felt uncomfortable because of her eldest son and little daughter. Because the 2 of them were engaged in revolution and work and had no time to take care of them, so they were entrusted to the families of fellow villagers. The result was not good, the 2 children died early. This is also a lifelong heartache for the 2 of them. Oh, why are you talking about this again? I'm sorry for you, can't you just say I'm sorry for you? Okay, okay. Ting, please persuade your grandma quickly. The old man apologized humbly. Seeing tears in the old lady's eyes, he was so frightened that he quickly ordered his grandson. Song Moding took Grandma's hand and said, "Grandma, this is a happy event today. You can't cry. Your grandson is getting married, so you shouldn't laugh. In 2 years, you will be able to hold your great-grandson in your arms." The old lady wiped her tears. "Yes, Grandma should be happy. My grandson is about to get married, and I will soon become a great-grandmother. I tell you, you must be nice to others. The girl is so spoiled and pampered, so marrying I didn't come here to suffer, so don't be like your grandpa." Song Moding nodded. How could he be willing to let Zhang Xiaoxiao suffer? End of this chapter.